If you're a buyer or a seller in Huron County trying to figure out what's actually going on in the market right now, stick around. The numbers can feel confusing, but once I break them down, the story is actually pretty clear. So let's walk through what March 2026 looked like and what it really means for you. Starting with inventory, we're sitting at 8.5 months of inventory, which is up from 7.8 last month and also higher than 7.7 this time last year. So overall, we've slowed down. What that means in real life is buyers have more options and more time, and sellers are competing more directly with other listings. What I'm seeing right now is buyers taking their time, comparing carefully, and only moving when a property clearly feels like good value. So if you're selling, it's not just about being on the market anymore, it's about how you stand out within your specific price range. And from a buyer's side, this is actually where patience can work in your favor, because not every home is getting the same level of attention. When we look at prices, this is where things can feel a little confusing unless you zoom out a bit. The average price came in at around $671,000 in March, which is a big drop from last month's $900,000, but still higher than the $580 last year. But this is a good example of where the average becomes less useful because a few higher rural farm sales can really skew that number in a smaller market like Huron County. The median price, which gives us a better sense of the middle of the market, is sitting at $485,000, just slightly down from last month's $497,000 and exactly the same from March last year. The reason for that gap comes down to what actually sold. We had only 53 sales in March, and a large portion of those were under $500,000, including 15 sales just in the $400 to $500K range. So with the median staying steady, that tells us that the core of the market hasn't really shifted. What this means is pricing strategy matters more than ever right now. Sellers really need to be aware of where buyers are actually active, not where the market used to be. Buyers who understand their price bracket have a much clearer advantage in knowing where the competition is and where there's opportunity. When we look at prices, this days on market is really reflecting in the shift in behavior. We're at 73 days on market, up from 65 last month and slightly better than 76 this time last year. So compared to February, homes are taking a bit longer again, which lines up with what we're seeing on the ground. Buyers are more cautious, they're taking their time, and they're not jumping on the very first option that they see. For sellers, this is where it's important to look at the time on market as information and not failure. If a home is sitting, it's not because no one's seeing it, it's because something isn't quite lining up in the buyer's mind. One of the biggest indicators I watch for is second showings. If buyers aren't coming back, that's often a sign that the price and the perceived value aren't matching up yet, and small adjustments early on can make a huge difference on how your property is going to perform. Interest rates are still a big part of the conversation behind all of this. Right now, fixed rates are around 4.45% and variable rates are closer to 3.7%. Fixed rates have been creeping up a bit, which is why there's more urgency around locking in, especially with 3 and 5 year terms still being the most common. When the gap between those is small, a lot of people are leaning towards 5-year fixed for stability. At the same time, variable rates are still expected to come out lower over the full term, but those do come with more ups and downs, so it really just comes down to your comfort level. Something that often gets overlooked is how much your credit profile impacts your options. Even small improvements there can open up better rates, so it's always worth having a conversation with a mortgage professional early on. Interest rates are still a big part of the conversation. When you put all of this together, the market actually feels pretty consistent. We saw 194 new listings in March, up from 166 last year and almost double from February last month. So supply is building as we head into our spring market. We're also starting to see more cottage listings coming online around Lake Huron, which is typical for this time of year, and it is going to add another layer of activity over the next couple months. There's also been a lot of conversation lately around the HST rebates for new builds. And the reason this matters right now is because it could temporarily make new construction more affordable compared to resale. First-time buyers can already receive a rebate that returns a portion of the purchase price. Also, a proposed federal rebate that would eliminate the GST on new homes up to $1 million, with a phase out of up to $1.5 million for buyers purchasing within a set window. So this is something buyers are starting to pay attention to, and it could influence activity in that segment of the market over the next year. What I'm really seeing is that people who are having the best experience in this market are the ones that are planning ahead instead of waiting for the perfect conditions. If you're buying, understanding your comfort level and timing gives you the confidence to act when something fits. And if you're selling, positioning your home where buyers already see value is what's going to create momentums instead of delays. So I encourage you to map out your next move ahead of time so that it gives you far more control and takes a lot of the pressure out when the right opportunity pops up. At the end of the day, there are still opportunities in this market. They're just a little more hidden than they used to be, and your situation is always unique. If you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere around Huron County, I am happy to talk and walk you through your options. All you have to do is find my contact information in the description below, send me a message, an email, or a text. I also have resources on my website to help you plan your next move. If you want to stay up to date with what's actually happening in the Huron County housing market, make sure that you're subscribed or follow me on social media. I'll see you in the next update.